Right. Welcome to the Empower Hour podcast. I am your host, Amber Dobkins, and the purpose of this podcast is to inspire women to embrace their inner voice and speak their truth. We are continuing a series called Embody Your Most Courageous Self, where you will hear from 8 amazing women on how they embodied their courage and their power. Today's guest is a powerful woman who was diagnosed with unexplained infertility. She set out to search for answers in how to have a child naturally without all the medical procedures. She went from feeling like something was wrong with her, being suffocated by her thoughts of unworthiness, to realizing she is perfect and embracing who she truly is. Now she guides individuals to get in tune with their inner wisdom, reconnect with their values, spark imagination and creativity, and insightful thinking. Her greatest passion is to empower people so that they can live their lives from the inside out while connected to the source of all. Today, she's an immersive experience leader, a self-confidence catalyst, and a creativity whisperer. Not only that, but she's also an author in the new book, Jaguar Medicine, which comes out in January 2022. Her chapter in the book is called The Roar of My Soul. I'm so excited to read her chapter and to chat today with my Jaguar sister, Agnieszka Golasik. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here. You have no idea how excited I am that I'm here. It's like my butterflies are flying. My voice may break, but we will get through it. I will get through it. It's my first time being, hosted on a podcast, so I will do my best.
You're going to do great. I just know it. And I'm so glad you're here and that we get a chat and that I get to be your first podcast. That's so fun.
Yes, it is.
So the other day, you and I chatted, we got to know each other a little bit before the podcast, and you shared a powerful quote that really inspired me. And that quote is, "The most useful asset of a person is not a head full of knowledge, but a heart full of love with ears open to listen and hands willing to help." Can you share more about what that means to you?
Oh, it is really one of my favorite quotes, and mostly because it combines 2 things. Actually, more than 2, but head and heart. And I think that nowadays we are used to living so much in our heads and being here that, and also kind of like we are trying to gather knowledge from all the places, wherever it is, all the places, books, interviews from all the sources. And sometimes I think we forget that the best knowledge and the best wisdom of our own is here, in our hearts. So, and I'm convinced that love that is stored there is much, much more powerful than our minds. And if we are able to connect, like kind of to drop our minds into our heart, and then we be led from this very powerful spot here, then we are prone to live, like our best lives. And also another thing, with ears ready to listen. That's another thing. We tend to, with hearing others, be really open to hearing others and what they want to tell us. That's one of the most important skills that we can have, because only when we are able to listen, then we are able to respond and not react. So that's, and hands willing to help. That's, it's like for me, I think I was raised as a helper. I'm always willing, to give my hands, and to help others. And this is why kind of like, this quote landed like so well for me, because it has all those elements.
I love that. And it resonates with me also. I do agree. I feel like there's so much energy up in our head, and we go from that space instead of just dropping into our heart. But I also believe, like you said, connecting heart and mind and really dropping that in and feeling, but also thinking, the logic and the feeling, and bringing it together to understand, listen, help, serve, and to guide, really to guide ourselves and others. It's an amazing quote, one that is definitely one to live by and gather that wisdom from just a sentence.
Yes, just a sentence. And by the way, I love quotes. I love books. I love quotes. I love reading. But at the end of the day, like you realize that it is here that you have all the wisdom and all the knowledge for yourself. And once you are willing and you learn how to, be guided by your heart, I think, life changes. Like there is the shift that happens, when you are on this path of listening to your heart and following, it leads, because the head will follow. Because it's not that I'm trying, to downplay the head, because head is very, our logical mind, is very, very important. The problem is that if we are just like stuck here, from here up, that's the problem. That we are kind of, that we are constantly led by, because also, in our head, all our fears, this is where all the thinking process kind of like happens. And if we are just stuck here, I think life is, we are not living our life to our fullest potential, basically. That's what my experience is, and that's what I feel.
I totally agree, because the mind, the logic is good, but there are limitations in the mind too, and the mind likes to stay safe and protect and all of those things, where the heart is a guidance and opening, and the more creative center, I would think, where bringing the two together, really like bringing your highest potential. Oh my goodness, like that's where the yumminess is. I love that phrase, and just reaching above, because there's so many times that we think we're not good enough, or that we can't do it, or we're not ready. But tapping into the heart and following that passion and that guidance helps us to step forward when our mind is saying, whoa, not ready.
Not ready, yes. And also it's like when because mind is here in a kind of, to protect us, and it's like, and heart is here to lead us. And I think, the moment we kind of, we are able to bring all those fears, all those thoughts down here, the magic happens. Because then, it's kind of, those fears, they get like transmutated to something different. The path is being shown to us, and we are being led like step by step, small step by small step, small step by small step, doing those teeny weeny tiny, not even like steps, not even jumps, just walking slowly. And and then I think we slow down, then it's easier. It's much easier. It's much easier. But this requires a tremendous courage, because we have to trust. And trust is, I think it's hard for us, kind of, because we are so caught up here. It's hard for us to let go. And just trust that, that the path will unfold, that everything will be fine, and then we are going to get wherever we wanted to get, but going slowly and going with the understanding that I lost my thought right now, but it will come to me. It will come.
It happens to me a lot, actually.
Yeah, it's like, you have something, and then it's like, oh, it went somewhere. But it will come back. It will come back. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, no, but I love what you're saying, because it is a step. Like I think I've shared this on one of the other meetings today, but I used to want to be further ahead than I was. So I always wanted to leap ahead, like I need to be up here, instead of allowing myself to be where I am and recognizing that one little step is a victory. it could be something so small and simple, but it is a victory in the right direction that leads me to that leap eventually through the steps to where I want to be, where I desire to be. And the letting go and surrendering to that process and allowing ourselves to be guided to it, I think is so important.
Yes, yeah, definitely. That's kind of, that's I think that also because going slowly, when we go slowly, step by step, then we are more in tune with each other. We have the space to get in tune with each other, with ourselves, and then everything lands like kind of like, from everything is created or co-created from a different space, completely different space. When we allow, for that process of going slowly and of being very intentional. Oh, you see, it came back. Being very intentional about each step and being really, really there, enjoying that process in the moment, and not rushing. I'm always hyped, and my energy is always high. So it's like, I talk fast, I walk fast. Even my daughter, the other day we went for a walk and she's like, "Mommy, you are running." No, I'm just walking. No, this is run. And I showed her, let's slow down. Let's go slowly. And I've noticed for myself that it used to be very, very hard for me to slow down. Now I'm getting better and better because I see that I am missing a lot when I speed up. It's like, I'm kind of, I'm missing, on those little moments that are so beautiful and on the messages within those little moments that kind of, when I run through them, it's like, and it's hard for me to, I'm always kind of like always ahead. And so I'm intentionally, it took me a long time, to kind of, to slow it down, but I'm getting there. And I think, everything, and because, this brings the intentionality of doing it slowly. This is kind of like, where all the magic happens, because I can, because I'm slow, then I can hear all those like intuitive impulses kind of like coming to me, because I'm slow and I'm not rushing.
Yes, I totally resonate with that. I have found the same to be true for me, where I mean, I set intentions for everything, the intention for this podcast I had, but also to how we flow together when we're in communication on this podcast. And setting that intention and being intentional with how I laid it out really has brought forth something that feels very kind of simple. Like it's just a simple conversation. Well, I mean, we're talking about big quantum things that are beautiful, but it feels simple because of the intention that I put in it, but also the inspiration. I was inspired to do this, and inspired, I feel, is being in spirit, being guided in that moment and walking forward in the inspiration and taking action intentionally. And then there is so much more beauty and meaning, and it comes out better than how I could have created it on my own, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Like, yes, totally, exactly. This is exactly it. Your touch on something very, very important, because the moment we slow down, something bigger than us kind of like emerges, because we have all those ideas, and I want to do this and this and this and that, and it's like, but wait a second, maybe that vision is not what is actually good for you, what you are capable of. Maybe you are limiting yourself that, because you are rushing. So when we go slowly, it's like something different is showing up, and then it's like, oh, this makes perfect. Oh yeah, this makes much more sense than this. Oh yeah, definitely, this is what I should do, because we have time to be with ourselves, to be slow, and to see, and to have those intentions, and to see, kind of to feel and see through it, to give it a way to, like, kind of like to come out through us. That's, yeah.
Yes, allowing that flow and creativity and to be a vessel. And Ah, I love what you're saying here. Definitely. And so being intentional is that slowing down and allowing the co-creation to happen. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, 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 yes.
I love that. So beautiful. I think just humans in general, we do overdo. So it, I think we have to be intentional in slowing down. We have to actually tell ourselves, okay, it's okay to slow down and allow that space. So, how do you feel? Like, what are some tools that helped you really be okay with slowing down?
So for me, it's definitely the meditation and breath. Like that, because I've noticed for myself, and I think, it's true for anyone, the faster, the moment we slow down our breath and we are very intentional about doing this, the moment everything shifts and changes. Because it is the longer, especially the longer, the out breath, the more we are the more our system is operating from a parasympathetic, we are relaxed, and this is what kind of changes everything. So that's definitely like so my tool is breath, and the best part about it is that it's everywhere with you, so you can always use it. I can always use it, but just kind of like letting myself to be very, very aware of it, and on purpose, like slowing it down, making those out breaths count longer. And this is what so that's my tool, and that's my tool that I kind of like use with my children. I help other people to kind of to connect with their breaths and use this as well. So that's for me it's breath. That's the only like the most powerful tool that is always available.
That's beautiful. I love how you say that. We do. We always have our breath right there, so we can count on it and use it at any moment to relax the body, slow our system down, because we can get into that stress state and that overwhelm. And then our body's in fight or flight and all of these things where just through our breath, we can send the message to our body that it's okay, you're safe, slow down, relax, be in peace.
Yes. So that's my tool. That's my tool.
I love
and
that.
also walking. That's another one that that I use. But walking and being by myself in meditation. This will be another one. This will be another one. Also, kind of that I've been using for years now, years and years and years. And it is actually like my diagnosis of unexplained infertility that led me on that path of finding meditation as a tool, because it's like when something when other people cannot give you answers, you have to find them for yourself. There is no other way if you want to know what's happening. Yeah. And I think with meditation, this is where we can go really, really deep and really in tune with our inner wisdom, our inner knowing, our soul. And when we are rooted there, when we go there, we feel, at least I feel connected, like really, really connected, to the source, to whatever, however you call it, God, source, universe, whatever it is, you want to name it. That's what I feel, when I'm there.
Yeah, I have the same experience. I love meditation. Meditation really brought me into my inner self and connecting with that and the divinity within. And, it was merely just being open to whatever wants to come. And, I mean, with parameters, like, of course, but being open to source divine speaking to me through that time and then learning from it. There were so many times in meditation that I would go in chaos or stress and thinking I needed an answer to something. And in just a few minutes, I could just close my eyes, calm my body, and poof, there's an answer that is beautiful, that solves the problem in a way that I wouldn't have come up with. Or if I had, it would have taken me a month to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, because I think, in meditation, what happens is like the noise of thoughts. This is what kind of subsides, or it's like, you find, I find that those thoughts, they are there, they will they will be happening, but there is something bigger than just, what's happening, in my mind. And that bigger thing, has better answers for me than me just trying to think it and find solutions.
Yes, absolutely. So that, I mean, the name of your chapter is The Roar of My Soul. And I feel like that's what you're talking about, is really tapping into that soul within and allowing our heart to speak and our heart to be heard. I mean, the roar, that's what I'm guessing. I haven't quite read your...
Why is it the roar of the soul, of my soul? Because we used to, there are, when you think about, connecting with your soul, you are often thinking about your still small voice. And this implies like teeny, tiny whisper, which is that. Yes, it is. But sometimes, especially if those moments in your life where you are in those like huge transitions moments, that something is about to change, and especially that if you have been doing, the same mistake over and over and over and over and not learning your lesson, then it's like, then your soul will scream or will roar, I should say. And this is what actually, like happened to me. And the funny thing is that, I could feel it like physically, every single cell, like in my body was screaming that whatever I was being told is like, that's not the way for me. And I know it. So something deeper, bigger in me knew it, that this path that was presented to me that as an answer to the diagnosis wasn't for me. And I knew it's like, I couldn't, it wasn't like, a whisper. It was so big and so strong that I couldn't say no to it, basically. I couldn't take a voice of an authority figure, a doctor, over what my own inner self was telling me. I couldn't, because this was much stronger. So that's kind of like how, this is why I'm saying it's like, so it's usually a whisper, but sometimes it can be a roar. And it was in those, in that moment, it was something like, this was a roar. It wasn't a whisper. It wasn't a whisper.
Wow. Yeah, because it was showing up physically, it sounds like, and emotionally, and mentally, and spiritually, it sounds like, through the soul.
Yeah, definitely, because it was this particular moment, in my life, when I was told that, that they cannot have children, and they don't, and that the reason for it, is unknown. That because all the tests are coming, they were coming good, and I was offered, and the answer was, to just, to use some of of those technologies, that like as IVF, and the other one is IUI. Either one of, one on the other, just to try those. I was like, yes, it's, those are really, really good tools for people, but I didn't feel, that they were good for me. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and my choice was, to say, I'm not trying to do it, I don't want to do it this way. It's because I can physically feel it in my body that it's not good for me. It's not good for me. This probably, would mean that, that I would, at least, according to that doctor, that I wouldn't have children if I don't do it. But I was willing to take on that chance, because it's like, it's like and I didn't have an answer, when that happened. I didn't know, what was going to unfold for me. I just knew that it's like that it's not for me. It's not me not wanting to, it's something within me is telling me that this is not my way.
And
So
trusting
and then, and then I had to trust, that voice, because it was so strong. It was so strong.
Mm.
And it took, when you want to have a baby, it's like, you want to do everything possible, everything possible, to have that little teeny weeny tiny, human in your, you will do everything. And here I was, put in a position of, no, this is no. And then someone was telling me, oh, if you don't do this, you're not going to have it. And I wanted to have it. But then it's like, I had to trust that voice, because I knew that it's like, this didn't really make sense, if you are telling, so if a doctor is giving a woman who wants to have a baby that diagnosis without giving explanation, is like, it really, at the moment, it didn't make sense to me at all, why? It's like, because why cannot it's like, if they couldn't explain it, that means that, maybe it's not the physical body that is having a block, or maybe that block that is there, because definitely, something was not, not adding up, but the tests weren't showing anything. So what is this that it's stopping you? Where is that? And, and this is why I had to go on this search to look for different answers, because no one could give me the answer here. And that's kind of, and like now looking back, after my daughter will be, next year she will be 12. So now looking back, at that, on that journey, and looking back on it through all those years, basically, it's like, I knew that there was a different path, and because I decided to step on it, all of this that that is happening, that happened after, was a result of that decision, that I said no to it, and I said, okay, I don't know what the answers are. I have no freaking idea, but I'm going to follow this voice, because this feels much, I think, much more like solid in my head. It was like, what's the word for it? Again, I lost it, but in my head it makes sense, basically. That that's what I can say. It makes sense in my head, that I want to, I'm willing to give it. I'm trusting it, because here's the thing. This wasn't the only time when my intuition spoke to me that vividly, and I, like, from back in my head, from all those decisions, that this kind of, like, when this voice came, and it was like very, very vivid, when I decided to follow that, it always led me to on a good path. It's just that in this situation was, because it was like, a lot of things, go into a, head of a woman, who wants to have children. So, like, it was really hard, because if you are trying to have a baby and it's 7 years into it, and then nothing is happening, and then it's like, okay, finally you decide to, okay, I have to get tested. Then you get tested. Oh, it's okay. And then it's like, okay, so what's wrong with me then? Why is this happening? You start asking yourself all those questions, and often, doctors, they cannot give you answers. At least, that was because sometimes, when there is something, physically, with the body, when ovaries, are not working, when tubes are blocked, at least there is a reason why. And I think, it's, in a way, it's easier to, even though, that knowing this is hard, but at least you have a reason. And here is like, yeah. So what's the reason? Maybe this is, what comes to you. Maybe you are not meant to have those children with this partner. This is one. It's like, because maybe this is something. Maybe there is something like mentally blocking me. Maybe this is not my path. Like no, it's like no. Maybe there is so maybes that you will ask you that it will show up in your head. That taking all of this and still kind of having, it takes guts to say no to a doctor and say, okay, I have no freaking idea. I have no the answer, but what I know this one thing. And then let me see, what happens, what happens next.
It was a step.
Yes, yeah, exactly. This, I just know this one thing, and I just know that I don't want to have it this way. That something in me, not even that something in me doesn't want to have it this way. Mm-hmm. So which way then? And like you are on this fork, and you have to choose the path. And it's like one seems to be more safe in a way, because you have medical professionals like helping you. The other one is like, okay, I'm doing it on my own, and I have no idea what I'm doing, because I've been doing it for the past like 7 years. Nothing really worked. So now it's like, but the moment that you kind of like you face this, that you have to, because it was like this, I knew that something is wrong. I didn't know what, and then I had to make a decision that I'm checking what's wrong with me, like physically, to go to those tests. And then when this kind of like showed up that everything is fine, then it's like, what else can I check, basically?
Yeah. Wow.
And it took me like, on a spiritual path. It really took me on a spiritual path. It's like, like something within me wanted me to go through this way, for me to be on that path, basically, and discover what was discovered along the way.
Beautiful. It's really allowing our experiences, whether they be some of the toughest things that we face, to become our greatest strength or our passion, or what lights us up, enlightens us, and brings us to a different way of life, but a better way almost. Like it's like those struggles open something up for us to where we get to see the beauty through it.
Yeah. I think it's like, for some reason, you cannot have white without the black. It's like, you have to have both. You have to experience it, to kind of to know the value of it, to realize the value of it, to realize, how precious it is, like, this path, and how precious you are along the way, because there so many discoveries, like kind of like for myself, happened along the way, that if I haven't gone this way, this path, I wouldn't know that. Maybe I would probably, maybe another, it's hard, but like it's hard to tell, but because after all, it's like I believe that what's meant for you, it will always come, no matter which path you go. But I choose to go this path because it's something in me was telling me that this is my path. So that's, yeah. And it's funny because I wouldn't be an artist and creator that I am right now if this wasn't like for that. I wouldn't, because I wouldn't discover how amazingly powerful those creative powers are. And when you allow them, like when you open to them, miracles can happen. Because if I'm thinking that I was given that diagnosis and I was able to convince naturally, not once, twice, I was able. I find those answers. For myself, I found them only because that day at that office I decided, I'm doing it a different. I don't know what, I don't know how, but I'm doing it a different way. I have enough trust in me and enough experiences from the past that I know that I can trust that. that whatever that, by that mean whatever it is within me that is leading me on that path. Whatever was speaking through me back then in that office, when I heard what I heard.
Yeah. And it took a lot of courage to trust that and say no to some professionals, and doctors are a bit intimidating and they don't usually take no too lightly. They kind of say, do you know what you're saying no to? So that's huge.
Yeah. And also, the fact that kind of like I met myself, in that point that I said to myself, I'm giving myself a year, because if I was trying for so long and nothing like happened, then maybe it's not, maybe in this lifetime it's not meant to be. Maybe I have to, maybe I can, maybe there's a different path for me to become a mother. So I gave myself a year to try out, to find those answers. And if it doesn't happen after the year, I was like, okay, so that means it's not for me. And within that year, like all of this kind of, and all of that I need to go through, I need to experience, discover, work on, because there was a lot of, like work. I had to do a lot of work, on myself, on my head, basically, on my body also. It's like, because all of this is connected. I had to kind of, discover that, to understand how powerful that connection is, and how amazingly designed we are.
Yeah. No, I love that you set the intention. I'm giving myself a year to figure this out, and I hope that it happens, but if it doesn't, I'm still okay with who I am and my experience here as a human, a woman, just being you. That's beautiful.
Yeah, because even though, I wanted to, I think by then I realized that even though I wanted that much, it doesn't define me. It's a kind of, it's like stepping into, into your power, and saying to yourself, okay, I'm freaking, okay, the way how I am. No, it's like, this is what's meant for me, and I'm okay. No matter what other people are saying, no matter what expectations are of other people, no matter what, I am okay. Like telling it to yourself, basically. And once we claim that, it's like, then again, something shifts, and we change. Like, we slowly starting, to change, but in a way that, it's like, because it's so deep, and at the same time, sometimes it's hard to put your finger, on what's changing, because what's changing in a moment, you can only see, like, having like stepping, like, from a perspective, basically. So because now, like, looking back now, I know what's changed, like, back then for me. But when I was when I was in it, I was like, I didn't see the full picture, of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful that you were able to do that. Did you have a lot of support? Was this something that was taught to you as a child? I mean, your husband, I'm sure, struggled also. Was he just in full support of you doing this and choosing this for your body?
We wanted, we wanted to have, we wanted to have children, and since it seems like we couldn't, then the kind of, like, whatever, we were trying to do it, whatever it's going to, to take it, and then since kind of it looked like all the ways that were presented to us, within, the traditional medical, like way, they were, we said, okay, I think, I think we did whatever we could do here, and we still don't know. So the only way is to go to check somewhere else, basically, to try something different. Yeah. Although, it's like he wasn't the moment on that day when I came from that office and when I told him, no, he was speechless. He was like, okay. But yeah, because I basically announced to him that I'm not doing this in this way. I'm not doing it. And if this means I'm not having children, I'm not having children. That's it. Yeah. And kind of like, I think, back then, on that day, he was like, okay, that's a lot. So he chose to say, okay. And then, over the time, we kind of, we find, a way. But it was hard for him, when, for example, when I announced to him, okay, I'm going on a 10-day meditational retreat, silent. I will not be, you will not be able to contact with me for 10 days. And only in case of emergency, this is the number. So like things like that, because it's like I had to, it was hard for him. It was definitely hard for him. Because, because something, it was, and what was hard, it was the unknown. Why? It's like, what this, what this will do, how this is kind of, how this is helping us. Yeah. And I couldn't give him the answers because I was following, what I was kind of like being, led to. Okay, try this, do this, take this step, find this space, go there. Yeah. I didn't know what to expect. Yeah, it's just, that those steps were kind of like giving to me, and I decided to follow them.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful picture of really just trusting the unknown and following into it. And that's where we're caught, I think. That's where we take the leap off the cliff and we're caught. And it's a beautiful picture of just letting go of control, surrendering and saying, I don't know the answers, but I know this is not it. And I know I have to go this way. And that he could probably see that passion within you and maybe a little fear of how do I discuss this with her and support you.
It's like, I think, male mind, it's like, I not even, I shouldn't say that. I think, we like to know what happens, what's going on, where we like to know. And sometimes it's like, I don't know. It's like, I honestly, I don't know. It's just that, what I know is that I have to go this path and take this step.
Yeah.
Because this is what is being kind of like, and if this is not someone else's experience, like, if he couldn't kind of like feel what no matter how I would describe it to him, it's like you have to feel it for yourself, basically. Yeah. So and because it was such a, and it was a very intense time in our lives. I cannot, because it's like, if it is a very, those struggles, for those people, who are experienced, and they are real, and they are, and those are, like day in and day out, night and day, you think about it. It's like it's always there in the back of your mind. It's always there. So, and knowing that it's like, okay, time kind of is, the year is running, running out. But like for me, with each step, I took, it was unfolding.
And is that where the self-connection catalyst and the creativity whisperer and all of those things that you do now, it all came from that?
Yes, they started there. They started there because even though I was into it before, like, but there is a different way when you are into it. And I always kind of, when you are doing it from inside, it's like we do things, two ways, from outside in we have kind of, we take ideas and kind of, and they go like, oh, I like to paint. So this is something, that comes from outside, you saw some beautiful painting. Oh, I want to paint this. I just want to do that. And there is something, that's one way of doing it. And there is different way when this comes like from you on this. It's hard for me to, to explain it, but it all started there. This was the beginning, because this was the beginning of me really kind of putting the self-connection piece and listening to yourself on the first place, like in a driver's seat, basically. This is what I'm going to do from now on, and this is how I'm going to live my life, from now on, because I find myself at a spot that I felt like I exhausted all the other options, basically. Mm-hmm. Because, and not only that, this journey, when it started there, it really shaped the way how, what kind of mother I am, how I choose to raise it all started there. It all started, in that, at that point that I chose to kind of, to really go through listening, to myself and kind of feeling into it. What is that voice that is within me, that inner knowledge is telling me, what should I do next? What is the path here? What is the next step? What is the next step? And yes, this was something big, but now it's like, I'm using it so often to the point that sometimes it's like when I wake up in the morning, I have a choice of, do I want to do yoga? Do I want to go for a walk? It's like, how do I feel? I will tune in, and it's like, what is the right thing for me right now in this moment? And sometimes it will be yoga, sometimes it will be a walk, and sometimes it will be just a sleep, because I will feel like, I need something with me, just stay and just, get another 15 or 20 minutes, of sleep. So to that point, because you can fine tune it. Once you listen to it, once you have that connection, the more you do it, the more fun tune, it becomes kind of like, it's like, you don't really need go into a deep meditation, deep state. No, it's there. It's there. It's there, because it's kind of like, it stays on the surface, and you can just, like tap into it very, very gently. But it started, back then when I said, okay, now I'm doing this, now I'm listening. It's like, now I hear you, like, really loud and clear. Now I'm listening, and I will continue. And because all of that showed me the result of this was me getting pregnant, I was like, oh yeah, this makes now it makes perfect sense for me. It's like, yes, once you listen and once you really, really trust, miracles can happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I believe in that wholeheartedly. And when you don't have that necessarily, you're not attached to it. Like, you weren't attached to having a baby. You wanted one, but you weren't attached to that outcome. You were okay with however your life chose to go, that you were okay with it. And that's where I feel like the real miracles are invited in, because we're saying however you want to do it, or divine, whatever source you want to, energy that is connected to that, allowing the work to be done through you, and not telling it, I need this.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, like dropping that, it comes much easier when that attachment to this must be this way. Because as I said, at that moment I said, okay, if it looks like this is not for me, I'm not going to push for that, anymore. A year, yes, trying different things. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. Like losing, like just dropping, like intentionally dropping that attachment, to it. Yeah. And I know it's like, in like kind of in infertility, like circles, when women, they hate when someone tells to them, or when you just stop trying, it will happen. It drives them nuts. This phrase, it will drive people nuts, because it's like you want it so much that when someone tells you something like that, it's like, I want to smack you in the face, basically. It's like, because if you are trying something and if you think that this is so easy, no, it's freaking not. No, it's freaking not. It's not that easy to just, to drop it.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've heard that phrase be said so many times. How else can we comfort women? Is there a phrase that is an easier phrase to say? I want to support you. I love you. I'm here for you, without the offense or putting them down or belittling them in any way.
I think the best way, if you know that someone, in your circle, is experiencing something like that, is just to ask them what do they need, what type of support they need, from you, because it will be different for different women, because they will be in a different stages, of their journeys. It's just asking them, how can I help you? Because sometimes it will be just sitting with them and just listening without telling them basically like anything. Mm-hmm. Just listening to what they want to say, because all those people give advices because usually they want to help, but sometimes it's like my grandma used to say that the roads of hell are paven with good intentions, because sometimes we don't know. We want to help, but we don't know. So I'm always saying, like, with those ears ears ready to listen, just ask and listen. And tell me, what is this, that you want to, how can I help you? How can I help you?
Yeah.
That's, I think that it's like, because there is so much suffering in so much pain that those women kind of go through, that being a listener, I think this is if you have friends like this, being a listener will be the best way to support. And ask them if they want to share, because often sometimes people women, they don't want to share. It's too private, too sensitive. But just asking, how can I help you? That would be how can I support you, on this path of yours.
I love that. So if people are resonating with what you're saying and they really just love your energy, how can they work with you, and what's the best way to get connected with you?
So the best way to connect with me will be through my website, which is my first last name .weebly.com. Will be Agnieszka Golasik .weebly.com. I can spell it, or we can just put it,
Yeah, we can put it in the comments.
But I will spell it. AGNIESZKAGOLASIK.weebly.com, and Weebly is WEEBLY. And through that website, they can schedule. They will learn a little more about me. That's number one. They can schedule a call with me, and then we can kind of I can because the thing with me is all those experiences that I create, they are personalized. So it's me working with people one-on-one or in small group settings, and trying to building something for them. So I do have a set of experiences that I can draw from, but it's mostly about me responding to their needs, where they are in the moment, and what they want to do. And I mostly do guided contemplations, meditations and creative art. They are called intentional creation experiences. So both kind of, it's kind of like, because what happened to me is that those creative powers, I always, I was always an artist even before, but kind of this experience kind of really brought, another spin on me. And I feel very passionate about creativity, making art, and helping people to get in tune with them, and also to uncover them, discover them, reconnect with them in any way possible. Because I really feel that, like, creativity, this is something that everyone is possible and should kind of like tap into those powers, to help them live the better, more joyful, more happy life.
Yes, I love that. And it sounds a bit playful too, where you can have fun doing that inner work and allowing that to come through.
Yes, it's work with me, especially on the creative. It's always fun. There is a lot of fun stuff that we can do too, and it's like there's a lot of playfulness. It's like coming back to that playful, your childish, playful self. To kind of to have that fun that we as adults are often missing, kind of like so much.
I agree, definitely.
To loosen up a little, so we can, so then we allow life kind of, to happen more organically, to loosen up, because we are also, especially right now, we are all so tense, so kind of, like our guards are all up. So kind of, just to put them down, and for an evening or for an hour or for an afternoon, just to experience, how it is, not to have those guards on, and how to is just to have beautiful, creative, fun, and feeling the state of flow, and being there with yourself, and kind of like listening, to yourself, and seeing what can come out of there.
Lovely. I just enjoy talking with you, and I'm so happy to have you on today, and just glad that you were able to share your story, some of what you do, some of your chapter in Jaguar Medicine. I'm so excited to read that, and really just excited for you just allowing people to come into their creativity and reconnect with themselves in a playful and slowing down, even relaxing way.
Yes.
Well, we will go ahead and
I just want to say thank you for for having me. This was a pleasure. I loved talking to you. I love being here. I love sharing book with you because you are where you are one of the co-authors. I'm looking forward to to reading all the stories. I already know that that some of them listening to the earlier podcast, and probably because I think you have 3 more tomorrow. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm looking forward to listening to those as well. To learn all those stories, and to meet virtually, with those women, and with what they want to share.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. It's a beautiful sisterhood. That's why I call you guys my Jaguar sisters. There's a connection, and just the support and the sisterhood there. I really have enjoyed it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thank you for being here. And I will leave the viewers with a quick quote. And that is, you hold the courage within, just allow it to emerge moment by moment until you embody your most courageous self.
That's beautiful.